Morning, everybody. Sports Corner update, a special edition of the show from WKBW Studios. I'm Kraus. Well, just to start things off, special thanks to Shawn, Stepner, Filipowski for letting us bring you this show from Channel 7. They'll be on in just a second. A couple of notes from the Lumber City this morning. Move over Katie Moranto. Sophomore Lindsay Petrowski passed her record for most assists in program history this season and has 143 so far for her career. Moranto was a starting point guard for the Lady Jacks for 6 seasons, and the record stood for over a decade. Petrowski was a part of the program's first 10-win season since 2004. The highlight of the season came back on February 16th when the Lady Jacks won their first playoff game at home since 2002, a 47-35 victory over West Sankey East. And finally, Troy Keller's trophy case grew as after he won the Most Outstanding Wrestler Award from the Western New York Wrestling and Coaches Association. Keller wrapped up his 6-year career with the program last month and finished in second place at the state championships in Albany in the 145-pound bracket. Keller is walking away with tons of accolades. He is now the program's all-time leader in wins with 206, 2 Section 6 titles, 2 Class A titles, and went 47-1 his senior year as a Western New York wrestler. Speaking of Western New York, WKBW-TV first went on the air in the Queen City on November 30th, 1958. Your parents and even your grandparents grew up watching Rocket Ship 7 and Commander Tom while dialing for dollars and tuned in every night at 11 to welcome Irv Weinstein, Tom Jones, and Rick Azar into their homes. Weinstein told the viewers about the pistol-packing punks of the day and asked if they knew where their children were before they went on the air. Jones gave us his weather word of the day. You probably could use some salubrious on a day like this, and A's are the latest on the Bills, Sabres, and the rest of the sports world. Well, now our guests this morning are part of a new chapter at Channel 7. One is a former hockey player at Ohio University, and the other you can catch him live tweeting about The Walking Dead every Sunday. Please welcome to the show Shawn, Stepner, and Nick Filipowski. Guys, welcome to the show.
Joe,
special thanks for doing this. So, you guys.
Hey, NT, what's up?
Yeah, welcome to the Lumber City,
yeah.
Viewers back home, but both of you guys have had rather interesting paths to getting in this business. You know, we've asked Heather Cruzak from Channel 2 and Doug Capaccio as well, and they've told us their stories. So how did you guys decide to become broadcasters, and how are you drawn to sports as well during your childhood?
I mean, I guess I'll go first. I've been a sports fan for as long as I can remember. You know, it's a funny story getting into this business. I distinctly remember the moment that I wanted to do what I do. It was like mid-90s. I don't know the date and the time. Actually, I do know the time. It was between 6 and 6:30 p.m. because I was watching a Sports Center with Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann. They used to be a team in the mid-90s together. I must have been like 12 or 13 years old, and I remember sitting Indian style on my family room floor watching this and thinking to myself, what do these guys do for their real job? And then it dawned on me, oh, they do this for their real job. So I just thought, you know, maybe this is the secondary job, they do it for fun. No, they did this for a job, and ever since then, I made it my goal to get in this business, and I was fortunate enough and lucky enough to do it.
For me, I mean, I grew up overseas in Japan. I watched what's called the Armed Forces Network, which is a military-run news channel, and Sports Center reruns at 5 a.m. before I would go to school. And truth be told, I really wanted to be a weatherman before really I wanted to be a sportscaster. But if you follow me on Twitter, you know math is not my forte.
Watch out, Aaron McCallum.
Yeah, his job is safe. I can guarantee you that. But you know, I always loved sports. Always wanted to be involved in sports. Not the biggest, the strongest, or the fastest, but I knew, you know, some form or fashion I wanted to be involved, be able to share stories, and have some fun. And here I am today.
And we do mention Aaron McCallum, a NT grad as well. So there is always a connection to the lumberyard wherever you go. So what did you know about Buffalo and Western New York before you got hired at Channel 7?
You know, I knew it was a great hockey city. I grew up a hockey fan. My father's actually Canadian from Montreal. I grew up in the D.C. area, suburban Maryland. But he was from Montreal, and he turned me on to hockey. I knew Buffalo was a great hockey town, a great sports town. And I actually, growing up, played hockey and played in 2 or 3 tournaments in Buffalo growing up. So when I came here and started playing pickup at different rinks like Northtown and Leisure and Holiday, I would go in there and have like these flashbacks to when I was growing up and I was a kid playing hockey. So I had been through Buffalo a few times.
I didn't know too much about Buffalo other than the heartbreak from the Super Bowl eras. Outside of that, I knew about the Sabres, knew they're a good franchise, going through some troubles. But it's a great sports town, like Shawn said. Great hockey town, like Shawn said. It's been a lot of fun.
What has been the best part of working in Western New York, would you say?
Every Rex Ryan press conference.
What has been his favorite quote from him this past season?
Probably
there's so many. I mean, man.
You can have a highlight show just of Rex Ryan quotes.
I mean, the most memorable is the one, at his opening press conference where he's basically guaranteeing the playoffs. Get ready because we're going. When he's talking about the playoffs, but I mean, there's been so many. I mean, we'll have to email you with some. We'll have to look back in our archives and kind of pull them up.
It looks like they'll have to wait another season to get going, which we'll get to in just a little bit. So you've been here longer, but you've had lots of great moments so far. So what would you say has been the best moments of your careers at Channel 7?
I mean, I have to say it was my first year. I guess my first calendar year, the Winter Classic. I mean, the first time I was inside Ralph Wilson Stadium, it was a hockey rink. I'll never forget that. I will never forget that. Going to the NCAA tournament last year with UB was pretty memorable as well.
I'd probably say the blue and gold scrimmage. Jack Eichel first got here when he was part of the prospects challenge. I mean, you always hear about First Niagara Center being a great atmosphere, but just for a scrimmage, not even a real game, but just fans were so anxious to see Jack. And the roar of that crowd when he stepped onto the ice for the first time wearing that blue and gold sweater was, I'll remember that forever. It gave me chills.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll get to Eichel in just a moment, but clearly he's revived, maybe expanded, or enhanced rather, the hockey atmosphere in Buffalo. So, Shawn, like we mentioned, speaking of hockey, you played in high school, went on to play for a year at Ohio University before transitioning to broadcasting. So, how did your playing experience help you in this field?
I mean, I think it helped tremendously. I've been back and forth on this. I used to think that you have to play sports to be a broadcaster. I don't really think that's true anymore. I mean, I think there's so much information out there. You don't really have to have those on-field or on-ice experiences, on-court experiences per se. You just have to have a passion. And I've had a passion for sports and this job, for a couple decades now, and I mean, listen, I wasn't. I played a lot growing up to college. I played 1 year, a half year really in college. I wouldn't really call myself a full-fledged member of the team. I was on the roster, but I quickly realized that I have a better future doing what I do now than on the ice. So I kind of made that transition, and it's paid off.
Well, hey, I mean, I shoot about 25% on a good day from the free throw line. So, maybe we picked the right job.
I think so.
Nick, you went to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and you're a big Nebraska fan. So what was your favorite moment from those 4 years? I believe you actually told me a story about interviewing the Nebraska coach, if I remember right.
Covering Bo Pelini for a couple of years, and even being there when he was the coach. That was always an experience because you were just waiting for that one moment that would set him off, and it'd be everywhere. It'd be on YouTube, it'd be on SportsCenter. But my number one moment, I tell people this all the time, my senior year, the last Nebraska-Colorado game, Alex Henry kicked a 57-yard field goal. And right before he kicked it was dead silent in the stadium. He kicked it. That place went nuts. And the very next play after that, Ndamukong Suh gave the Heisman to Cody Hawkins, pick six into the end zone. That place was electric. I YouTube probably once or twice a month just to watch it and get the chills. It's a great moment.
Well, go Cornhuskers.
Yeah.
By the way, let's get to the Bills. They finished 8-8 in year one of the Rex Ryan era. Let's start with the play of Tyrod Taylor. 3,200 yards, the 20-4 TD to interception ratio. Made some plays with his feet as well. So it seems that Buffalo has a quarterback for now at least. But what does he have to do to improve in year two?
I want to see him be able to lead this team back in the fourth quarter. I know Rex, near the end of the season, talked a lot about how he has one of the best quarterback ratings in the fourth quarter. But really only the Tennessee game was when we saw the Bills down, if he was able to will them back and get that come from behind victory. So I think against better competition, better teams, he's been able to kind of rally the troops, but he hasn't been able to get those comeback wins to help get the Bills over the hump. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to this coming year.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. I mean, if this defense does, I mean, not even what they were projected to do to be. I mean, they were projected to be. I mean, everybody's paying them as, if not the top defense, top 5. If they're top, if they're anywhere close to that, they're in the playoffs. I mean, the offense played well enough to get them there. So, I mean, I think stay on that trajectory that he is on, get a little bit better, and I mean, we need to see the big push from the defense. What we need to see next.
Absolutely, the defense leader, Calvin, is now going to the Eagles. Just minutes ago, he signed a 2-year deal with Philly. So, and Mario Williams is going to be out the door. Do you think Mario goes to Miami?
I think the fact and the incentive to play the Bills twice a year will factor in. I can see him go to Miami.
Especially considering the weapons that they already have on defense. And Dominic and Sue, you got Cameron Wake who's still working on, I believe, the new deal, Olivier Vernon. That defense could be pretty lethal, especially, I mean, add the fact that Mario could come back to play the Bills 2 times a year.
Yeah.
And, I mean, look out.
Yeah. Right. Sammy Watkins had a big year. Seemed to find some chemistry with Tyrod in the second half of the season. But it seems that the team is still missing a receiver to complement him. I mean, Robert Woods is okay. Chris Hogan is okay. But they need to get someone up to his level. So is there anyone that the Bills could possibly go after?
I don't even know if they have the money.
You look at what Doug Whaley has said. They're looking for the second wave of free agents, and I think that's where they're going to concentrate. Let's face it. I mean, you put the ball. I really don't think it matters who the second receiver. You put the ball anywhere near Sammy Watkins, covered, double covered, whatever. He's going to make a play on it. He's going to either come down with it, or he's athletic enough and smart enough to bat it down, or get a pass interference call, something. It all revolves around Sammy, and I don't even think second, third, fourth string receivers really matter that much. I mean, it's all about Sammy, and I think that you mentioned the chemistry. They learn. Tyrod and Sammy are learning off one another. I think they're poised for a breakout year next year.
I think the big thing for me is seeing the investments that they made this past season, especially in Charles Clay. I'd like to see him take that next step. He's being paid a lot of money. We didn't really see him very much as a part of the offense. I think a lot of people thought we were going to see how much the Bills paid to get him in. I think Shawn hit on the head. Sammy's the guy. Everybody else is really the complementary figures outside of there. But I really would like to see Charles Clay get a little more involved, especially over the middle, to kind of open things up down the field a little bit for Sammy.
Let's move to the Sabres real quick. They're likely not going to make the playoffs this year, but they're making strides in Dan Biles's first year. Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart are off to great starts to their careers. Ryan O'Reilly definitely lived up to the 7-year deal that he signed in the offseason, but unfortunately is shelved for the rest of the year. Rasmus Ristolainen is turning into a solid young defenseman as well. What is the next step for this team? Do you think the tank, obviously the tank was a success because they got the player that they wanted, but what does Tim Murray have to do in free agency and the draft to get the team to the next level?
I mean, he's just going to keep adding pieces, and I think that he's going about it the right way. The tank, it worked. I don't know if they got the player they wanted. They got one of the two that's going to make a difference, and Eichel is either Eichel or McDavid. You're going to take either one, and Buffalo should be so happy they have Eichel. He's going to be phenomenal. He'll add. Now, the big question is, does he go after Stamkos? I mean, my gut says they're already talking about it. Let's see what happens.
Do you have anything to add?
I think they need a couple more defensemen.
Is Robin Leonard the goalie?
I think it still kind of remains to be seen a little bit. I mean, he was injured and out for so long. I mean, he's played well down the stretch. I know he hasn't gotten a lot of goal support from the team, but I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves. We'll have to see what he's able to do in a full 82-game season to see what he's able to put together. But I like what I see from him. But I also think, too, I think they'll try to sign Chad Johnson for another 1-year deal, let Linus Olmark develop a little more, let Nathan Lewin develop a little more down in Rochester, and then then we'll see who that number one guy is and who's going to be a backup in the future.